Hey, good day YouTube, good afternoon. Hope everybody's having a good week. We got some serious weather coming in again. We had some good rains this weekend, and now we're getting some more rain, snow coming in this week and this weekend, so more weather the better out here. First off, just to start off by hey people, this channel is what it is. Had a guy comment the other day, I don't like when people just drive around talking to the camera. Show some practical applications or show some graphics or whatever. It's like, hey, this isn't the channel of me talking. There's some videos of doing stuff, but if I had 117,000 people watching, I might take it a little more seriously. But as long as it's just the 400 or so that I'm just talking to who just come on here to talk about issues and stuff, you'll probably get what you get. So hate to disappoint somebody, but I thought it was funny that you watch a video and then just complain about the style or what he's doing. This is not a professional YouTube channel if you don't realize it yet. But a further conversation about the SHTF. I think people need to realize what's going on. SHTF will happen because there is an agenda behind it. Whether it's warfare, the economic collapse, any of other myriad of degrees, except for natural disaster. Natural disaster is a little bit more out of our control, such as the coronal mass ejection, things like that. Things that are completely outside the human hands. Other than those things, anything man-made, man-influenced is going to be a controlled event for the precise reason of somebody else gaining control. And I think people need to understand that when it comes to the economy, warfare, any of those things that could possibly happen to bring on an event, that the ultimate end state is somebody else gaining control in some form or fashion. And it might seem like a power vacuum, and it probably will be. It will definitely be a power vacuum in the traditional sense, no doubt. It'll seem very chaotic. You might want to embrace the chaos, because the figurehead, the controller that comes out of that event could be the Antichrist, if you want to go that route, or it could just be a power-hungry tyrant, more likely. Both, or I should say both of them are more likely. The Antichrist is a power-hungry tyrant, but anyway. So something to look for if we devolve into that scenario is that's what's going to come out of it. And even in a natural disaster scenario, a large scale coronal mass ejection, large scale cataclysmic earthquakes that totally destroy nations and empires, the people that take control and gain power out of those events are very often the very, for lack of a better analogy, Negan-like personality. Those are the people who gain control in a lot of instances. And it may just be locally. It'll more than likely will be in a much smaller footprint than, say, the current 50-state footprint, for example, that's controlled out of Washington, D.C. The control will be a much smaller region, but what you need to look out for, seek to prevent, or be aware of, is the power-hungry individual who takes control of your own local area, or attempts to at least, in your area following an event like that. And more specifically, bigger picture, and these controlled world events that are going on right now, that's the whole goal, is to consolidate power at the conclusion of such an event. They don't start wars thinking that they're going to lose power. Their whole agenda is to gain resources and control So if you haven't thought about that, there's something to think about, prepare for, be aware of moving forward. Obviously, it's not the immediate goal. After, it's not a first 24-hour, first 72, 96, first 3 months type of goal. You don't need to save up a year's worth of food for it, but be aware as things evolve and mentally prepare yourself for what to be key indicators to look out for those type of people asserting themselves into a situation or reasserting themselves, because they may be an old figurehead to begin with, inserting themselves into situations post any collapse event that comes up. There is most certainly an agenda behind any controlled event, such as an economic collapse and warfare. So if you haven't thought about it, there's something to think about that I would recommend to keep in the back of your mind. Write down on a scratch sheet of paper and see what key things you can identify as things would devolve in a scenario where somebody's trying to play nice, somebody is gaining certain sorts of control over resources and people to give themselves that amount of control that they've set forth their agenda to gain. All right, people, some thoughts that I thought I would share. Hope y'all are being good. Everybody out east in the Midwest, stay warm. Christmas is coming up, so you never know how often you'll necessarily see people on YouTube with travel and such things going on. People don't necessarily watch as much or comment as much. Even if they're watching, they may not be commenting because everybody's occupied, everybody's busy, which is a good thing. Occupy yourself with important things. That's definitely the way to go. And one last thought, YouTube, before I cut out here. Wanted to just remind everybody that the Federal Reserve comes out with their statement tomorrow on raising interest rates or not, which will be very interesting because everybody is essentially banking on a raise. They're even saying it's already cooked into the stock market. But I think you'd have to go back to the time-tested, proven thing that they can't. There was an article that I shared on G Plus today about how the Fed had to pay attention to the average worker and what they're feeling, the pain of the average man, like they really care, right? But it is interesting that they are now put in the position of raise rates or else, whereas before it was lower rates or else. They've maintained what the status quo. They compared it to European Central Bank, Japanese Central Bank, all having zero, essentially, interest rates or even negative interest rates, and the effect that the U.S. would have, that would have on the U.S. if they, raised rates. So there's something to watch for tomorrow to keep your eye on, because, again, the economic collapse is the most likely SHTF that we will face outside of the natural ones. So just something to think about tomorrow, and keep your eye on any statements coming out. See what all goes down. Live free.